We develop the playoff picture, prepare to break some records, and look back at a summer full of fun. Don't touch that browser. The LCS Preview Show starts right now.
Selfie continues to split push off. Can he find it? Oh, no one! There is the kill! And the Super Hawk can push through and pick up the win here.
Bottom lane's gonna get hit now. No! Double lift getting soloed out by Copier, putting down the authority. They just snuffed out Counter Logic Gaming.
Get out. Go on them, go.
Millennium are just dropping like flies here. Fnatic take victory over Millennium.
Oh my God! Bjergsen coming out huge.
Great win. Team Solo mid. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS Preview Show. I'm Irving Bism III, and this week we've decided to emulate the roster changes we've seen all season in the LCS. So we're benching Jat and bringing in my fellow Smite on F, Caster Kobe, in effort to grab some last-minute fantasy points.
All right, well, I can't absolutely guarantee that I will buff your fantasy league. I will do my best.
That's not good enough. Wait a minute. All right, can we still swap him out? What is that? Submitted paperwork. Whatever. All right, so no pressure, Kobe. I think you can hack it.
All right, thank you, Riv. There's nothing like positive reinforcement.
In the meantime, I would like to thank you. All the fans are probably happy to see you up this early for the preview show, as well in Europe in their afternoon.
You're welcome.
So there's a super week full of LCS action ahead as the summer split comes to a close. So let's get right into things right now. First up, it's Worlds Watch, where we check out the regions to see how well the 2014 World Championship is shaping up.
All right, and right now it's still early, and though it's not officially official, we can say that Samsung Blue have become the first team to qualify for Worlds. They are guaranteed a top 2 finish in Champions, and whether they get first or second seed will depend on how they complete their summer season in South Korea.
That's right, and most of the European LCS teams still have a shot at joining Samsung Blue at Worlds. But before we get to the playoff picture, let's take a look back at the highlights from Week 10. First up is the second place Fnatic taking on the first place Alliance. This one comes up just 10-20 in. First Blood 3-man on Wicked, trying that Aurelia in the top lane. He's been bringing it out a lot this season.
Yeah, he likes it, but this Cataclysm, 4 men enter, no Wicked leaves. He's the one to go down for First Blood.
It's been the story when you see top lane Gragas. You always get a gank on the top laner on the opposing side anyways. Here coming in at Dragon, Alliance picking up a 2-0 as they go with the Dragon as well. Shook on this Riven, man.
Yeah, look at Shook. Nobody else has been sold on this jungle Riven pick, but he makes it look good.
Fnatic, or rather the whole European scene, bringing out quite a lot of picks. Alliance able to pick up a very nice victory there after a bit of slippage in their run for the top of the standings and staying there. SK Gaming versus the Super Hot Crew, our next highlight to take a look at here. And it was not too far into the game where Impaler felt he needed to go 2 turrets deep.
That reminds me of the old double lift bush check on that one. But look at this, he almost gets away. Svenskeren makes Impaler stay around a little bit too long.
And those were the few kills that Selfie actually needed to get some assists on to really get this Ahri going. See how low Impaler is? But somehow Super Hot Crew turns this fight around still.
Yeah, and Ahri is all over the place here. I'm glad that it only took a small buff to bring her back into competitive play. Now we're seeing her over and over again. Maybe we'll get some action in NA with her.
Absolutely. Maybe some more Shifter, Lichbane, Ahri on the Nexus plays. But right now, that guy, Selfie, making plays. The Flash Charm gets him out of the Valkyrie.
So quick right there. Beautiful play by Selfie.
Really great play from the Super Hot Crews. They try to move themselves up the standing. It's going to be even more important in Super Week. Alliance versus the Wolves as they try to take a bite out of that #1 team. It was 11-10 into the game, and Froggen got Kassadin. That was a bad idea. Woolite has to tip his fedora on this one.
Yeah, and this is before he picks up his Medjais. Froggen reminding EU players why they banned Kassadin. He was only nerfed a tiny bit.
And 15 minutes in, where else is Froggen going to be but picking up low health members? This time it's Soren. A quick bing, bang, boom. Froggen's on a rampage.
Get a couple extra pages in that book.
Yeah, you got to sign off on a few more. It's a choose your own adventure once you hit the 20 stack, and they chose to go straight for the Nexus at 20 minutes. 29-2 as they're trying to hit Young Buck on the fountain. Even the minions want a piece. Alliance picks up another victory to keep themselves at the top of the standings. Next up, the 15-8 Fnatic taking on the 13-10 Millennium. 10.5 minutes in, Firiton's Corki picking up first blood on Yellow Star Zyra. Yellow loves to go hard early.
Yeah, and look at that Rengar gang. A successful Rengar, level 6, hits the bola while jumping. Beautiful play.
Of course, we're watching Europe. To see the box go down here, 33 minutes in, 15-14, a pretty bloody game for 30 minutes in. But they are just going too hard, and Reckless again on the late game carries comes up big. But 35.5 minutes in, you still got to be scared of the red side Gragas.
Oh my god, yeah, the double barrel Gragas, bringing back nightmares for all the junglers. Whenever that happens, all you have to remember, never blame the jungler. It's Gragas' fault, not his.
Okay, maybe they're running Smite on D. We'll have to find out. Coming up here at 44 minutes in, Fnatic get a huge fight. They lose no one on this, and they're able to completely cancel out Millennium to push themselves into a win here.
Yeah, look at Cyanide. He wants vengeance on Kirk for stealing that Baron, but doesn't even get it. Reckless is going to steal that one away.
Fnatic coming up with a very nice win. 16-8 now in the standings. Not too bad as they make a run for that top. All the teams are. Here's how the table is set over in Europe as we head into the final week of the split. At the top is Alliance. They have commanded first place all split, and with 2 more wins this week, they will lock in the #1 seed in the playoffs.
And then Fnatic is just 2 games out of the top spot. And Super Hot Crew, 2 games right behind them. Millennium and SK round out the teams that have locked in playoff spots, while Roccat and the Wolves are fighting for the 6th and final berth.
And now to take a closer look at that playoff picture over in Europe, we'll bring in a man who's seen the action firsthand. How you doing, Quick Shot?
I'm fantastic, Riv. Really looking forward to Super Week and all the games we've got ahead of us.
As am I. And like we just said, 5 of the European teams have already qualified this week, and they will be looking for better playoff seeding. How are things looking over there?
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit intense, so be sure to listen closely, and let's start with first things first, and I mean that quite literally, with Alliance. They are in total control. They are guaranteed a top 2 finish no matter what happens, and they can lock in first place if they manage to pick up 2 wins this week out of the next 4 games. They can actually finish in first and become the first European team in the LCS history to hold on to first for the entirety of a split. No one else in Europe has been able to do that. Now, Fnatic are able to technically pass them and take hold of that first place. But in order for them to do that, Alliance needs to lose at least 3 matches. Fnatic wins to win at least 3 matches, and obviously counterbalance it. It's a very highly unlikely possibility, but there is a chance that Fnatic can take first. Now, in the hotly contested middle of the table, the teams are already in the exact order that I believe they will finish. So that being said, 3 of those 4 teams can still contest for second, and that very important second playoff bye. And here's how they can do it individually. I'm going to run through each team one by one. So for the Super Hot Crew, who I feel are the strongest of the middle of the table teams, they can overtake Fnatic by winning 2 more games than Peke's crew. They can force a tiebreaker, or they can win 3 more and take the spot completely outright, as long as they win as many games as Millennium. And on the topic of Millennium, they can also pass Fnatic. But for them to do so, they need to get 3 more games than Defending Champions and 1 more game than the Super Hot Crew. Or there's another scenario where they go 4-0, Fnatic goes 0-4, and Super Hot Crew goes 2-2 to win. Hopefully, we can try and make this a little simpler. But with all the different possibilities, I don't think that Millennium and Super Hot Crew will be challenging for second. I do believe that these are the 2 teams that'll be battling out for that 3rd place position at our playoffs at Gamescom. Now, lower down the table, SK Gaming, for them to earn that second playoff bye, it gets much tougher. They have to go 4-0. Fnatic have to go 0-4, and the Super Hot Crew have to lose 2 or more games. And that's what it takes just to get a tiebreaker. Truthfully, I don't really know if SK are performing well enough to do that, let alone win any tiebreaker scenarios, but keep in mind, potential is there. Now, final playoff chance in the top 6, Roccat. They can also finish second, can't finish second rather, but they can hope for 3rd. And in order for that to happen, they would need to win 3 more games than Super Hot Crew, 2 more games than Millennium, 1 more than SK Gaming. So we'll see if the stars can align for them. Now, unfortunately, in the bottom half of the table, it is dark times for the Wolves, because a single win by Roccat or a single loss by the Wolves means that the Copenhagen Wolves are out of playoffs altogether, and they will be looking at the promotion tournament along with Gambit. Now, Gambit is already out. They haven't been able to make playoffs for a week, and they do have the possibility to climb into 7th place, but they need to take down the Copenhagen Wolves in the first game of Super Week. It's not looking likely that Gambit will actually overtake the Wolves this split, or this Super Week, and with that being said, we may see a Gambit versus Ninjas in Pajamas with Alex Ich in the promotion tournament. So there's a lot on the line for these teams this week.
All right, thanks for breaking down an incredibly complicated playoff scenario. Quick shot, have a great Super Week. Today, the European LCS kicks off Super Week with 5 matches. Up first, it's Gambit Gaming versus the Copenhagen Wolves, with the Wolves needing a win to remain in contention. Then the day will conclude with Fnatic versus the Super Hot Crew in a fight for second place. Wednesday's 6 matches begin with Roccat versus the Super Hot Crew, and the day ends with an El Clasico between SK Gaming and Fnatic. Then on Thursday, the 2014 regular season will come to an end for Europe, and with Alliance and Millennium facing off in the final match of the week. And now for a look at the final week of fantasy, let's send it over to Professor Kobe, who has all the sage advice you'll want to hear.
Thank you, Riv. All right, let's take a look at that fantasy. With 32 LCS games already over in the next 6 days, not already over, coming up in the next 6 days, this is going to be your last chance to grab huge fantasy points and secure a win in your league. But first, let's check out those standings. Yeah. All right, let's check out the studs who last week went above and beyond what we thought they were going to do. It looks like it's an all-European lineup here. Alliance in the mid lane here. Froggen pulled off 60.9 points while leading the team to a 2-0 week. Not to be outdone, Selfie also had a huge week for the Super Hot Crew with 59.4 points and 2 victories. Finally, Froggen's teammate Tabs carried himself to 55.9, and he also showed everybody what it's like to play like a man. Not only is this the last week of the fantasy for LCS, but it also your last chance to tell us who you think is going to secure the most fantasy points. Hit us up on Twitter at LOL Esports and use your stud finder to tell us which of these studs you think is going to be the super stud this week. So now I have to see which are the people who actually did not perform that well, the duds. So CLG, they dropped 2 games last week and their bottom lane suffered for it. Doublelift earned 9.2 points and Aphromoo only managed 3.7. Dignitas also had a rough week 10, and their top laner, Zion Spartan, scored 12.2 points, well off of his estimated 29. Now, for this week's sleepers, let's take a look at the players who should really perform this week and probably aren't in your lineup right now. First up, it's Lustboy for TSM. TSM brought in Lustboy last week, and while he didn't have a huge week, he performed admirably, and things should only get better as TSM are known for finishing out a split very strong, and they also have one of the softer schedules. Last week, Pobelter was the highest scoring North American mid laner, despite the Evil Geniuses dropping a match to TSM. And this week is a daunting schedule for EG, but look for him to continue to put up big numbers. Then there's Jay Ree. Millennium has been on a tear this split. They have a lot on the line as their next 4 games. They really hope to make that second place. So look for even more from their support, Selfie. All right, now we're going to have to sound off one more time. There we go. This is going to be the alerts for the following 3 players. Seraph on CLG. He's a top laner out of the starting lineup this week. And as a result, he won't be earning any fantasy points. So you need to yank him as quickly as possible. Don't pull a Jat and leave him in like he did with TSM support. Dexter for CLG in the jungle has not only been performing poorly for the last 3 weeks, but he also is going to be playing without his normal top laner. So that could very well affect his results as well, and he might drop even further. Finally, we have Shifter, Team Dignitas mid laner. He has also been underperforming, and in the last 7 of 10 games, he has gotten less than his estimated points. With a tough week ahead, consider benching him for someone else if you've got more options. All right, we really do hope that you had a great time playing fantasy this split, and we've certainly enjoyed bringing you the fantasy advice we hope is not court admissible. And if it is, remember, Jat said it, not me. So hashtag Kobe's always right. Now let's activate the listening devices hidden around the LCS stages and eavesdrop on our teams. Yep, it's time for all chat.
You said that you could be the next cutie pie of you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass. You're gonna pass?
Have fun. Kitty, don't get hit by mine. Hey. God bless. TSM, 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 3SM. Wait, shield dies. We can win. Helios. I'm coming here. Pobelter, Pobelter. Laser. Wait, what can we do? Can we burn? Laser. Smasher. Nice. Good job. Okay, good calls, Lust. Good calls.
It's GG. Like they're throwing. They're throwing the game.
I'm in there.
They're throwing the game.
You can see the buff timers.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I never used it.
How long, Dragon?
125. It's pressed goddamn tab.
Oh yeah, kurva. I am not used to that still.
I have like 500 AP with this build. You have 400.
I can not try.
Yeah, just try. If you want. They stopped.
Nice! Oh, nice.
I just
It's fine. If I decide to do something and it's a mistake, then it's a mistake, not a decision.
No, it's a misdecision.
Tabs, can you please explain this to me?
No, I'm gonna stay out of this one. Somebody told me that shadows help with depth perception.
Yeah, it does.
So it's better to play with shadows on for hitting skill shots.
Shadows are on. We won.
Are you dead?
I'm gonna die.
Yep, you're done.
Yep.
Are you dead?
Yeah, I'm probably dead.
If they just jump on you, you're dead. You're dead.
So. Rip Lust.
Rip Lust.
Oh, I didn't even see him die. Where did you die?
He died to Syndra.
Oh.
Man, Kitty, your match history. All Lucian.
We lost.
I think the biggest thing I took out of this all chat is shadows equal win. Must try when I get home. If you want to listen in on extended versions of all chat, just head over to LOL Esports YouTube channel. There's a lot of bonus material there just waiting for your ears. Now heading into the final week of the season, we combed through the LCS books and found that there were a couple of achievements that were within reach for some of the LCS pros. Let's take a look at the records that were made to be broken. First up, the record for least deaths in a split. Meteos currently holds that record, dying only 29 times in the total, or in his total games of 2013 so far. That's an average of only 1.04 deaths per game. Right now, two players are threatening that nearly immortal performance, however. Currently, Shifter has only 23 deaths and Reckless 24. If they can keep the Grim Reaper at bay over the next 4 matches, we'll have a new record holder. Shifting from least deaths to most kills, ManCloud is the man with the bloodiest jersey from last summer's North American split, if you remember, with 167 kills, or just under 6 per game. Reckless is currently the closest player to that record right now with 140 kills this split. He would need to average 7 kills per game to best ManCloud. And while that might sound like a lot, he does average just about the same amount that ManCloud was getting, 5.8, just under 6 per game right now. So it is within reach, and if he has another performance on Vayne like he did in Week 9, he could just pull it out in the final hour. Now, from records to LCS milestones, it also looks like we have the honor of dropping the Velvet Rope to the 1,000 club again, because Xpecial just got a dance partner. Last week, Nif eclipsed 1,000 assists in his 108th regular season game, so we've embossed his membership card into the club. Congratulations, Nif. It looks like you and Xpecial will have the place to yourselves until 2015, because Yellow Star is next on the waiting list, and he still needs 72 assists to get in. So now that we've addressed we have to address one other club, I should say. That's the Penta Club. Last week, we limited membership to regular season Pentas. But after some discussion, #ClaykyD was right again. And we've decided to let those pros who scored their Pentas in the postseason into the club. So make room, Penta Killers. Doublelift and Genja are moving in. Not only that, but Bjergsen had a playoff pentakill as well, meaning he is the only LCS player in the Penta Club to score 2 pentakills. And not only that, but he has one in both regions. I suppose that means his card is double platinum imbued, graphite, or something like that. I don't know, Zanya's maybe. Anyhow, congratulations to those Penta Club members. We'll see if anyone joins you this week. It'd be pretty awesome for the Super Week. Last week, we saw 3 new champions take the Rift as our players began to mix it up a bit in the lanes. That means it's time to check the champion countdown. Looking at that, Zilean was the first to see the light of the summer split as Kerp picked up the Chrono Keeper in the mid lane versus the Copenhagen Wolves. We also saw Jace for the first time in the split when Ackerman picked him up against Cloud9. And we saw our first Shen in months when Quas picked up the Ninja versus Evil Geniuses. Then made everybody hold their breaths as the ref checked for the bug. Luckily it was a false alarm, but even with Shen hitting the Rift, we're still 16 champions off pace from the 88 last split at this time. I'd say we have about as much of a chance of seeing 16 new champions this week as Gambit does of making it to the playoffs. So right now, it's time to show a little bit of love right here. The people who not only pick Zilean as the next champ we would see, but also name the player who would pick him. Both at Callum Moses and Jadaru13 paired the Z-Man and the Trackball King together, and we think you're both the Time Bomb. Even more of you out there used your heightened learning to pick out Zilean, and we would like to salute you as well. We'd like to hit rewind and thank the 15 of you individually, if only time permitted. Now, with 1 week left in the regular season, that means you only have one more chance to correctly guess which new champ will make their first summer appearance this week. Hit us up at LO Esports, use the hashtag LCS Preview, pick them before the pros do, and you can see your name on next week's show. Haha, but now let's bring things over to North American shores. We take a look back at the highlights from the teams in Week 10. Our first matchup features a struggling Team Dignitas looking to pick up a win against the rising Cloud9, one and the other. It's going to be tough.
Here they go. This is the Dragonfly. High doesn't get to do anything here. Dies before Shockwave is able to complete, so doesn't do any damage. And look at Scar's tweets. He thinks, hey,
we got
one fight, we won the game.
We won the game.
Let's keep track of those tweets, though, as the game progresses, because it gets a little worse. They're not done yet. Crumbs gets caught out.
You know, it seems like NA Rengars don't have 9 lives. It doesn't factor out that way.
They don't have the best performances, let's see. There he goes down once again.
Cloud9 really grabbing a foothold with those few kills, a pivotal in the jungle kill 2 times on Rengar, and it led them right into Dignitas' base.
And it looks like Scarra is singing a new tune.
Yeah.
At the end of this one.
That one came out quite quick. The handshakes and camaraderie as Cloud9 continue to move up the standings. And the next highlight comes from CLG, looking to join TSM and Cloud9 in the tie for second place as they face off against Curse.
Another Rengar death. Dominate was all over Dexter this game, continuously counter jungling and ganking the lanes. Look at this dive. He's fearless, goes right under the turret.
And this is when Curse kind of put the pedal to the metal in the right place. Usually they go for too much and lose a lot, but this time they get out all smiles.
And I like how he's resigned to his death and he stays under there.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to one's got to go down for the good of the team. Here we see Cop and Doublelift. Cop just throws down the authority. He knew from the instant they started that fight, it was his.
Yeah, he was trying to dodge off some of the rockets there, Doublelift, but not able to do so. And it looks like Curse are on their way to victory.
And double AD composition working for him once again. In our next highlight, the Spring Split champions Cloud9 look to pick up a win against first place LMQ.
All right, this one is just a little bit of a misstep by LMQ, but really strong play by Cloud9. They let High charge up his own knockup and then walk right up to them for the initiate. Really well played by High, and LMQ got a bit too close a couple times.
How about doing your own initiation twice in a row, just becoming a menace and completely controlling the game? Balls gets his solo lane to himself on Rise again, and Cloud9 is back on track. TSM versus Counterlogic Gaming in our next highlight. Loco Doco giving Bjergsen the business so he can deliver it to both Aphromoo and Doublelift.
Yeah, Bjergsen's not just done with Aphromoo here. He wants the whole rush hour, and he jumps over to knock Doublelift out of the rocket jump, just obliterating him. And Doublelift also tries to flash the kick there from Amazing, but they're too quick with the follow-up CC.
Way too quick. 22-15 in. Bjergsen takes down Seraph on Shiv. Wild Turtle was real close here, but they get him out safe with how far they were ahead.
Yeah, Bjergsen Syndra, not just to be feared in EU, but also over in NA. Doublelift gets another taste.
He didn't even have time to blink. No Doublelift hand tricks there. And there's a 15-9 team solo mid moving up the rankings. And now here are the NA standings as the teams head into the final week of the split. LMQ have been in sole control of first place for the last 2 weeks, but they are just 1 game ahead of Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid.
Meanwhile, CLG have slid from 2nd down to 4th, but Dignitas have fallen even harder, all the way from 1st into 5th place.
But those standings could dramatically change over the final 4 games of the summer split, as right now, every North American squad still has a chance to reach the playoffs, and 5 teams still have a shot at first. So let's take a quick look at what it will take for each team to finish as high as they can this split.
All right, LMQ currently hold the 1st place position, and they can keep it into the playoffs if they win 1 more game than Cloud9 over the next week, or if they tie with CLG and or TSM, as they own the tiebreaker for both of those teams. We'll have to see if Xiao and crew can overcome the management issues that have arisen, and they can pull off a top 2 finish to lock down one of the incredibly important playoff buys. In order for the suddenly red-hot Cloud9, they are only going to have to win one more game than LMQ over the next week, since they own the tiebreaker for that matchup. And they also need to simultaneously win one more game than TSM or beat TSM in their final head-to-head. And going even with Reggie's team of stars, Cloud9, they have to be feeling pretty good about their chances right now. With Balls playing like a monster in the top lane and High making great calls, in general, the team is all around looking much better, like they found their chemistry. And remember, that formula led them to 2 straight championships.
And Team Solo Mid is the 3rd NA team that can finish as high as 1st place. Although for that to happen, they will need to finish with 2 more wins on the week than LMQ and go even in wins with Cloud9. But Team Solo Mid is used to this kind of pressure. They've gone 10-4 over the final weeks of a split, and with Lustboy providing some veteran leadership and support, a top 2 finish doesn't seem too out of the picture. Counterlogic Gaming is the 4th team that can reach the top spot, but they should probably aim a little lower, as they would need to go 4-0. LMQ would have to lose at least 3 games, while TSM and Cloud9 would have to lose 2 or more during Super Week. And with a substitute in for Seraph, this becomes increasingly more difficult.
And hey, even Dignitas can still reach 1st place. But for that to happen, hold on to your socks, they are first going to need to go 4-0, while LMQ and Cloud9 both go 0-4, and TSM loses at least 3 games. But based off of Dig's last 8 games, they've lost 7 of those, so they should really be concentrating on simply securing their playoff spot, as that's not even guaranteed right now. Currently sitting in 6th place and in control of their own playoff destiny is Curse, who could finish as high as, surprise, 4th place. If they go 4-0, CLG goes 1-3 or worse, and Dignitas goes 2-2 or worse, then Curse finishes 4th once again. But just like Dignitas, they haven't locked down a playoff spot yet, so that should definitely be their first priority.
And Complexity's highest hopes are for 5th place, but it's a distant dream, as they would need to go 4-0 themselves, have Dignitas go 0-4, and Curse wind up 2-2. But to take 6th and earn a spot in the playoffs, Complexity just have to win 2 more games than Curse this week, which is a lot more likely. Finally, there's Evil Geniuses. They can still haul themselves out of possible relegation this week by winning 3 more games than Curse and 1 more game than Complexity over the next week. Not impossible, but also not likely at this point. Well, that can all seem complicated. Now you can head into this week armed with some knowledge, and that never hurt anybody. Did it? No. And if it did, they were smart enough not to say anything about it. So here's a look at the 16 matches that will give the teams a chance to lock in those playoff positions. North America kicks off the final Super Week with Curse versus Complexity. Later, LMQ face Team Solo Mid for a battle for the top of the standings.
And on Saturday, Team Solo Mid faces off against Cloud9 in another clash at the top. And the day concludes with Evil Geniuses facing LMQ. Sunday, we'll have Dignitas hoping to stay in the race as they take on LMQ. And Super Week ends with Cloud9 versus CLG.
And there were some big plays across the LCS last week, and we want to take a look back at the white knuckle moments that triggered your left-clicking muscle memory, or as our Penta clubbers call that, the Penta.
All right, coming in at number 5, it's Ackerman with the over-the-shoulder blind barrel toss.
Gragas can take this chase.
Oh, man.
Oh! What? Ackerman on the Gragas has been just destroying AD carries left and right.
And at number 4, Gragas was on a roll as Curved Barrels stole Baron.
X is going in. He's gonna go in. There's no vision. Fighting it. Get the spike. Yeah, oh, he gets through the barrel instead, and he gets out safe with a lantern. My God, but let him know.
No way. Just Q ult combo from Curb.
At number 3, it was Continents, kicking Broken Shard out of the pit.
Started off now, Millennium on towards it, Broken Shard. Can he be the man of the moment? He's going to have to jump in, but instead he gets knocked away.
Continents, he's very, very fast on Lee Sin. He was the guy who jumped out, kicked Broken Shard away, jumped back into the Baron pit.
And coming in at number 2, it was Selfie with the flashy play.
Continues to split push off Candy Panda. Oh, he's going to get dove on. There is the kill, and that's what happened.
Well, Flash Charm. That was a great play.
And our #1 play this week was Maokai's wild ride through the jungle.
Oh, fish coming in for Wolfhouse.
Oh, Chum the Waters will land this time around. Diamond in trouble. The lantern gets thrown out. He stealths away.
Oh,
Salazar's pulled in, goes in, gets himself the kill. He may pay the price with his own life.
Everything invested onto Diamond, but because he's stealth, Overpower can actually jump him after DFG. Salazar, however, he's like, I'm Superman. I'm just going to follow you.
With more plays to come in Super Week, for now we'll say sayonara on the LCS preview show, and we'll be back for playoffs and Worlds. But this is our last regular season show of the summer split, and we thought this would be an appropriate time to look back at some of the highlights from the past few weeks. So join us now for a best of in our last hit.
4, 3, 2.
League of Legends! High turns it around. He's going to go for the triple. Triple kill for High.
Let's head over to the man with the hair that never quits, the fastest Flash in the West, who dances like Jabba and shoots like a stormtrooper. Trevor Quickshot Henry.
That's probably the best introduction I've ever had. He's looking for 5. He gets it. That's a pentakill.
Pentakill for Shifter. And they're going to start their series out 1-0.
I heard you have a bet with Scar about this match as well.
Oh yeah, the loser gets the bowl cut.
Bowl cut! Bowl cut! Straight across the front.
Oh, man.
Beautiful job.
Sarah. Yo. I love you. Thank you. Wow. No love back.
Get rejected, son. I will show you full power.
Warlock go way too aggressive on that one. The culling coming out. Just about dodges out. Justin's going Mambo.
Now wait just a second, Jet. Isn't there a matter of the bet from last week that we need to settle?
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to.
Anivia is still open, guys.
Yeah.
We have the free win if we want it.
And now Impale is in trouble. Froggen gets on towards him. He gets himself another double kill. He's now 5-0-1 on Anivia.
Bump it up. Raise your eyebrows. Raise your eyebrows.
No.
Raise your eyebrows.
That doesn't have to do with...
I think it's we're just here to ruin people's fantasy points. That's it.
It's going to be another game won by Complexity, being the underdogs coming out.